I was thinking about the better days. My youth so happy, my hair so nappy, had an afro.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Big up to all of you guys in the chat. Welcome to Nightcap. It's not going to be a good one, guys. I'm not even going to waste time just going over all the rubbish. I'm just going to give it to you being in the truth. So here we go, man. Let's talk about this game. So overall, guys, the week before, last week, I said to you guys, we are not going to be able to go the season unbeaten. We're going to draw games. We're going to lose games. Some of it's going to get ugly. And the next week after I said that, what happens, what happens? Look, guys, it's football. It's sports. This is what happens. Nobody can dictate the future. Nobody can dictate the pigs and troughs. But what I can say is, and I said this too before, when teams are that good, oppositions make adjustments. Managers, coaches spend hours watching this footage, seeing where they can find holes and weaknesses. And Emery's been using the same tactic against Arsenal for years. And it hasn't always won. It hasn't always worked out for Emery. There has been many times when he lost. A couple of years, last year, they lost 2-1. They lost 2-0 to us. And the year before, they done us in. And this was a game where I thought the approach was wrong in the first half. And look, Moreno and Eze just didn't get going in the first half. We had nothing up front because of it. And there was obviously mistakes that played against us on the back end. And we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about. Big shout out to Andrew. Greetings to you, bro. Big shout out to Garfield as well. Garfield saying United is winning the league. Look, bro, there's good money on them getting top 4. I'll just put you lot's comments at the bottom where I normally put it on the right-hand side. And look, guys, they do this thing to us all the time. And remember the first game at Old Trafford against Man United? Shout out to you, Garfield. What was Man United doing to exploit our shape? We know that Arsenal commit their wing backs over into play for combination plays and overloads. And what does that mean? That means when the ball breaks, you're vulnerable on your left-hand side and your right-hand side because those left wing and left wing back and right wing back are aggressive. So you can take the opportunity. Or Man United do it. We saw them do it with Embremo. Time and time again. And Villa normally do that with Ollie Watkins. They've done it. If you look at the last 2 or 3 years, they've done the same thing. And all it does is it just puts pressure on the defender to make a play. And 9 times out of 10, your defense will make a play. But remember about 2 seasons ago when Ollie Watkins cut inside of Saliba and put it low right and he beat him and it went in the net? Sometimes it works against you. And that was against Saliba. And in the first 5 minutes, they tried it and the ball fell to Ollie Watkins and he beat both of our centre-backs. He beat Timber, he turned Timber, went inside Hincape and got a shot off. Raya saved it, but the early warning signs was there. And it was like, and I think at that point, Hincape was on Watkins. So they switched. And Timber done a much better job after that. But look, guys, I think this is only the second win. There's no need to panic. This is only the second loss that Arsenal have had all season in all competitions. And when you think about that, you know, on average, title winners over the last 4 or 5 years, Liverpool and Man City, have lost about 4 or 5 games. And we're in December, and we've lost games. So there's no need to panic. In that front, no need to panic. Andrew says, record of Arteta versus Emery. Arteta with 2 versus Emery. Emery 4 wins and 2 draws. Yeah, they've had the better of us. There's no doubt about it. They really have. But I mean, this weekend wasn't a game we should have lost. We shouldn't have won that. The game was plagued with errors, which we're going to talk about. But yeah, it's pretty gamey between them, and Andrew. Andrew then goes to say, what I find irritating is the relentless discussion after every single match. There is no escape, and dependent on result, it is not banter, but an opportunity to generate fans of particular clubs. Yeah, and you know what they always say, Andrew? It's like all the naysayers start to come out the woodwork, innit? When you're winning and you're top, they don't say nothing. They don't even say manager's done a good job, players are playing really well, etc., etc. They just cannot wait for the opportunity to rip the club down. I don't know what you call that. I don't call that support. Yeah, I don't call that support. I don't know what you call that. But I think in retrospect, you've got to realize that Arsenal are going to lose games. They just are. They do. There's no need to panic. You just have to regroup. And it's harder because we know the situation with injuries. Camp says, I meant to be fair, we do have the youngest, second youngest team. And obviously the youngest team last season got relegated. Yeah, Chelsea's actually the youngest team in the league now. Did you know that? Was you aware of that? Yeah, they're actually the youngest team in the league now. Andrew says Emery is the better manager. Well, he's the more experienced manager. But I haven't seen in all of his years in the Premier League, he's made the Champions League once. And in Spain, he made it a couple of times, but he was more a Europa guy. He more kind of finished outside the top four. So as far as his record for title runs goes, Arteta's record's better there. And Arteta's only been a manager celebrating his 6th year on the 19th of this month. So in what's that? In a couple of weeks, Arteta would be celebrating his 6th year. But Arteta's got a more consistent league record in the 5 years he's been a manager than Emery has. Emery's done so well in the Europa because he's always finishing outside the top 4. So, and you can see that at Villa. He's been at Villa, 4 years? And only once made the Champions League. So, in terms of who's a better manager, of course, Emery's got more trophies because he's been a manager for 19 years, which is nearly 4 times the length as Arteta. So, of course, he's going to have more pedigree behind it. But I've always questioned, Andrew, his ability to be a manager to win the league. I think he's second tier when it comes to that. I've gone out and I've said it. I think as far as employing a manager to win you the league, he's nowhere near it. Emery's nowhere near it. He never has been. And so, give him kudos and respect for what he's achieved in terms of the Europa Cup. But the Europa Cup is a second tier tournament, which, quite frankly, if you gave any club the choice, they wouldn't want to be in that. They would want to be in the Champions League. This is the thing where Spurs are saying we're champions of Europe. No, you're not. You're at the 7th club in Europe because 36 teams qualified for the Champions League. And the one that you won, Tottenham fans, was a second tier tournament. That's what you won. The champions of Europe was PSG. And Arsenal were ranked third in that, in retrospect, going to the semi-final and losing to the champions. So it's like, I know they use it for banter, but it is what it is. The thing I talked about as well, guys, in terms of having to be humble with this situation is we had 3 tough games away from home, Sunderland, Chelsea, Villa, and ended up with just 2 points. And the Man City's got those games to come. Man City's got some tougher away games coming up. And the truth is, and this is no excuse, this is just reality, we've been stripped to our bare bones with our squad for a month now. So it was just like losing Mascara was the straw that broke the camel's back, because that's just disrupted everything. when you think about it, guys, look, we've had 15 injuries and we're still top of the league. We're still top. And how Liverpool, remember when Liverpool lost Van Dijk for the season and they dropped out the top 4? One player, their best defender, and they dropped out the top 4. And what happened last season with Man City, guys? Man City lost their Ballon d'Or, their best player, Rodri, and they were fighting. They eventually got back in the top 4, but that's where their levels were. These two teams, our rivals, had one injury that destabilized the whole team. They weren't challenging for the title. Arsenal have had 15 players out, and we've not fallen out the top 4. And we're not even battling for 4th. We're still top. So, guys, let's understand the situation here, man. Arsenal are going to get players back from injury because this can't continue. And then we have to rebuild level that saw 18 games on. That's what we got to do. I know I've been talking to some of the girls in the medical team. So I've been getting updates, but it's not. These updates are not out in the news, so I can't really report them. But things are getting better. Things are getting better, and things will improve. And we've got a couple of games, Champions League, obviously, and then we've got some winnable games on the weekend, and we're gonna have to get back to what made us great. And I said to you guys over the last 2 weeks, this is the worst you're going to see Arsenal this season. Having the squad stripped down to the bare bones, this is the worst you're going to see. The Arsenal you're seeing now is the worst Arsenal you're seeing this season. And yes, we're 2 points at the top, clear at the top. But when the team starts to improve and get bodies back, and then they start getting those levels again, and then you can switch out and rotate, then things will improve. But at the moment, you've got a few players, Zumbamendi, Declan Rice, and Timber. Those 3 players are about to break. They're about to break. The one I feel sorry for, or the 2 I feel sorry for more, is Timber and Declan Rice. Because when you saw in the 80th minute against Villa, even run anymore. Guys, and you just like, oh Lord, they were sent. Andrew says, our players must fit together. Moreno did worse with Spurs than Pochettino, yet who's considered better? Exactly, who's considered better? And Andrew says, how did we cut before social media? What achievements on football? Yeah, we didn't have all the stuff from the fans then. So when you win, you win. When you lose, you lose. And your support was notoriously in the stadium. That was more of a stadium thing. If you was at home watching it and you screaming your head off and you had an opinion, nobody knew about it. So I think that's where everything is. Let me just run through player ratings, guys. So David Raya, I actually gave him an 8. I gave David Raya an 8. He was one-on-one. Remember I talked about when Ollie Watkins beat both of our centre-backs and got a shot off? He was one-on-one with Ollie Watkins and he made that save earlier on in the game. Remember the big header which he tips onto the crossbar? That was quality. And then he made a big save as well in the second half too. So I think Ray done really well. Ben White, I'm going to give him a 7. I think he supports Saka so well in an attacking. I actually, on the stream, I actually said, I think his overloads in an attacking sense is better than Timbers. I think Timbers the better defender though. Yeah. But I think when the ball crosses the halfway line, I think Ben White, remember when he made the cross for Moreno to score in the game before? I think that he gives you that. He's such a good player in the final third with his passing. He really is. But he's not as good a defender as Timber. So I think it's a toss-up between the two. And obviously because defensive is our forte, Timber gets the nod. But I think because of that, because of the advanced play from Ben White, Ollie Watkins ran into that space behind him and exploited it time and time again. So that was a plan, and that's what they did. And unfortunately, that was then left for and Hincape to 1-on-1. That pressure on them. They did a decent job, and then Raya bailed them out with that save. Andrew says, "What behind the constant injury?" Oh, I know. This is what everyone's talking about. Like, so first of all, you got to look at the training, and then you got to look at the lack of rotation. But we've rotated okay this season. I won't say we've rotated well because I've mentioned the 3 players who haven't had a rest. And there's times where you could have started Ben White over Timber and you didn't. And you could have started Norgard over Rice or Zumbamendi. Like, do you know that's only happened once this season? Once. In the whole season. And you remember, we're talking about Brentford's captain, who is a really good player. And so I struggle with the fact that he hasn't replaced Declan Rice at any time. I think the one time he came on and started was for Zumbamendi. It was Zumbamendi that was rested. So I've got a bit of problem that. Like, my question is, why hasn't this guy given Declan Rice some rest? Why? That's so for me, that's my issue with it, Andrew. Andrew says it's important. It is important. An opinion can be expressed without piling on acumen by all means disagree, but to introduce hostility as a purpose. Yeah, I know. Some people are making a mountain out of it. They really have. But I just think it's one of those things that the manager can look on. And he's tried. You know, look what happened when he tried to rest Timber. He tried to rest Timber. Mosquera got injured. And after half an hour, you could see Timber's face was like, oh, man. When Timber walked on the field, just like, you saw Timber's face was like, I was supposed to rest today. And within half an hour, he was back on the field. So he played an hour in that game. And yeah, it's just, we're not getting the rub of the green there, man. And that's what it comes down to. So Timber, I'm going to give a 7. As I said, I thought he was a constant presence at centre-back. Great positioning. He only lost out to that Ollie Watkins tackle once, but then he had the better of Ollie Watkins for the rest of that game. Solid in one-on-ones. He covered so much ground, but he badly needs a rest. And as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Timber breaks. I know, Andrew, you're saying what's behind the injuries, but it would not surprise me if breaks. It really wouldn't. It really wouldn't. And for that, how many times in two of the last 3 games we've seen Declan Rice go down near the end of the game, and we thought, oh Lord, and then Declan was like, I'll be fine for the next game. So one of them's going to break. Cam was just saying Timber will get hurt. One of them's going to break. It's bound to happen. If we don't rest, someone's going to break. That's just the reality of it. Andrew saying, in answer to your comment, I would state fair. Arsenal have lost 2 games this season, and viciousness directed towards Arteta is mind-blowing for you. Yeah. Non-contact. Yeah, I know. But you know what? Andrew? I'm so accustomed to that, and I don't let it bother me, and it's water off a duck's ass for me. It's like, people are allowed to say what they want to say, and it irks people. It does. And I don't know why that's one of the reasons why people say it. Just to rub people the wrong way, just to irk people and just pile on. You know what I'm saying? Just like our rivals do it, and that's fine. They're allowed to do it. They're rivals. But from your own fans? Really? What do you hope to achieve by pouring on that narrative? So that people share your view and then AFTV the whole fan base? Really? How does that serve the team? Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Andrew. Calafori, guys, I'm going to give Calafori an 8 out of 10. I thought Calafori was Fantastic. He had 5 interceptions, the tackles in the opening stages. He broke up Villa's play on the right-hand side. Didn't you notice that when they hit that long ball over, it was to Ben White's side? They tried it with Calafiori, didn't work. And Calafiori has the range. You know, he read the situation, he backtracked. With Ben White, he was too far advanced in play to get back. And then he doesn't have the burst and the speed to get back. Calafiori does. And Calafiori was not caught out once. I mean, his levels are just top of the chain right now. I know people saying Timber's the best right back in the league, but there's an argument that you've got to put Calafiori in the argument for best left back in the league as well. In some of the team of the season so far, I've noticed that he's missing from that list. And he's been so good. So I'm going to give him an 8. Eberici Eza. For Eza, I'm going to give him a 4. And I said this in the game, and I'll say it again. I think he's had some really, really good games this season. And I think he's had games where he's gone missing. And this was one of those games where he was effectively invisible for the first half. And you get that performance, you're going to get hooked and you're going to get pulled. And he did. But why he got effectively pulled, because he was at fault for the first goal. Just did not track on the back post. And when the goal went in, if you look at the replay, he slams his hands to his knees and in frustration of himself. He knows he got it wrong. And when he walked in that changing rooms, he would have said, guys, that was on me. I'm really sorry. By that time, Arteta had already made his decision that he was going to hook him. And he didn't. You know what? Arteta knew he was taking a chance with Trossard and put Trossard on. Trossard scored, and then Trossard came off again. And it's just like, so how long is he going to be out now? Oh, man. So, Zumbamendi. I'm going to give Zumbamendi a 6. I think he fought hard for every ball. And we know he struggles with tackles. He's not the tackler that Thomas Partey is. A little bit like Jorginho in that way. Even though he didn't stand, he won a fair amount of aerial duels. So he's battling. He's battling. He's in there and he's battling. And fair play to him. Fair play to him. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 6. Martin Odegaard. Odegaard. Hey, Andrew and 18 and Cam and you guys, have you seen how people have been going in on Odegaard over the last few weeks? Like, what are you doing, guys? This guy has been plagued with injuries over the last season. That's why his form's dropped off. Do you remember, guys, when I said to you last season that the ankle injury was on his shooting foot? And every time he shot the ball, he had pain. So, like, he's going through all this stuff. It's like the fans don't even see it, man. It's like they're not even seeing it. And you know one thing I'm hearing, like, there's 2 things I say which I've said all the time. He tied Cesc Fabregas and Lampard's scoring record of 15 goals from the midfield. And he's created more chances than any other midfielder in Europe. Yeah. In fact, he missed 4 months last season and was still Arsenal's highest creative player in that season, even when he was out for that long. It's a little bit like Kai Havertz, when fans were moaning about Kai Havertz, and he missed half of the season and he was still Arsenal's top scorer last season. But Andrew, these are the things that we got to deal with. Like, fans are moaning about Odegaard, moaning about Havertz. They moan about Moreno. Moreno, no player in the Premier League has been involved with more goals from the 1st of November than Mikel Moreno. 4 goals and 3 assists. 7. In the last 5 weeks, he's been involved in 7 goals. Not even Haaland has been involved in more goals. And Andrew, if you hear the way fans talk about him, like, what is wrong with our fan base, man? What is wrong with us? And granted, Moreno didn't turn up in this game. That's why he got substituted. But the fact of the matter is, he's been solid over the last month. But listen, Martin Odegaard, solid performance. Pulled off a shot from Emi Martinez in the opening stages. That pass to Saka, driving forward in the build-up play for the first goal. Brilliant. And then he played 2 or 3 wonderful balls over that broke the Villa defense. Like, guys, he's starting to feel it again. Then he just needs. Remember, he was playing like this before he got injured again. It was a shoulder thing, right? And then he was playing well, and he fell down, and he was out for another month or 5 weeks. But let's hope he starts to build some momentum, because I'm going to give him a 7.5. I thought he did really, really well against Villa. Declan Rice, again, 7.5 for Declan Rice. The block to prevent Matty Cash scoring the first goal, brilliant from Declan Rice. Brilliant. And his work off the ball. Remember, he depossessed Onana in the build-up to the equaliser as well. It was him that took the ball off Onana. But after the 80th minute, his leg levels just dropped. He just went boom. He just Declan Rice is just flat out. Him and Timber. And honestly, Mikel Arteta, look, bro, Champions League this week, you need to start Norgard. You need to start Norgard, man. I don't care what you're thinking about with Declan Rice, but you cannot play him this week in the Champions League. You just cannot. Andrew says, to be fair, Apollo, we are basing this on the vocal portion. What about all the fans who are neither on the forum or social media? Yeah, they need to speak up. They're plain and simple. Those fans, they need to speak up. Yeah, they need to speak up, man. In terms of where are we now? Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka, I'm going to give a 7. I thought out of everyone, he tested Martinez the most. He did. He had how many? He had 3 shots, didn't he? And then he had the header that went wide. But then he provided the assist for the Trossard goal as well. I thought Saka. A lot of people are piling in on Saka as well. You know, Andrew. A lot of people are piling in. Andrew saying, why did those people need to speak up? Because I just think they're too quiet as well. I think they're maybe a bit too conservative. And I think when I get when we have games like this, it's bad, and then people go into a little bit of a shell. But, you know, it's like, I'm not like that, man. I know a lot of rival fans, when they lose, they go quiet. They don't pick up the phone. I'm not like that. When we lose, like, did you see my Facebook post on my personal wall? I put, we got beat by Villa, and here's my thoughts. Because I'm not going to be one of them guys that hide. Like, my phone is open. Anybody wants to call me or have a bit of banter with me and say, you lost, I'll take it. I'll take it. You know, and it's about being constructive in your criticism. Yeah, we won. Great. How did we win? And who didn't play well when we won? And then we lost. You know what? We lost. You know what? What could have we done to improve? What and why did we lose? That's where I'm at. That's where this channel's at. So there's always going to be that balanced, constructive view. And you're like that, Andrew. There are a lot of people like D's like that. Nabil's like that. There's a lot of people that are like that. Cam says Trossard, this is the reason why he's preferred him to Martinelli. Trossard, I think that argument's over now, bro. I think that discussion, Trossard and Martinelli, is done. And Andrew says, fans can have an opinion. It does not follow that we all have to make sure it's expressed and posted worldwide. No, but that's why we have a forum. The forum is like, so we can all come together and share our views. And I've said many times as admin, 14 years I've been running that forum, and I want to hear people's views. Like, the forum's there for you to express yourself, and I want to hear it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, or whether it's grey and a little bit in between. And I want to hear it. And, you know, so, and if it's good, then great. You know, I might play a little bit devil's advocate and then throw a bone in there now and then. And if your views are bad, then I'll throw another bone in there and give you another angle to say, well, actually, it might not be as bad as you think. So as admins, it's my job to find that grey area, if that makes sense, Andrew. But all views are welcome. Yeah, all views are welcome. But there's a lot of haven't you noticed, Andrews? There's we love our women on 101, and a lot of them are very expressive. But haven't you noticed, Andrews, that over the months and over the years, the opinions of our girls has got smaller and smaller and smaller. We really hear them speak now, and maybe is that maybe because of all the naysayers? Is that maybe because the girls are are hyper positive? There isn't any of the girls that I know on our forum that are quite negative. There isn't, or have an agenda. Our girls just aren't like that. But because some of the guys are, do you think, Andrew, that turns some of the girls off, and that's the reason why we don't hear a lot from the girls? It may be. It may be. Andrew said, because I grew up in a different era, it is not important to me. It is not an essential component for. I hear you. But for me, it's always about balance. Like, you're going to get some good, you're going to get some bad. And there's a lot of good out there that we're not hearing. And I'd like to hear it. Believe me, we're hearing the bad. We're hearing all the bad that we're worth. So it would be nice to keep hearing some of the good. I do like that. Yeah, I talked about Bukayo Saka, didn't I? And I gave him a 7. Talked about the 3 chances he had. I talked about the header that went wide right of the post. And then remember, Andrew, with a couple of minutes left, he had that shot that was blocked off the line by Kamara. Oh, my word. Till it's on another day, Saka could get a couple of goals. On another day, Saka scoring a couple of goals in that game. So it's just unfortunate. Mikel Moreno, I gave him a 5. I've got 7 written down there. I don't know why, but I'll change that quickly. I gave him a 5, and then 7. The goal, the volley from Odegaard. Odegaard's lovely pass over 3 defenders, and then Trossard gets on the end of it with a volley and just misses. It's a yard wide. Another day that's on target, or that goes in the back of the net, and he scored 2 goals. And for Mikel Arteta, I'm going to give him a 6. I thought that the way you started the game, obviously you weren't going to dictate how Moreno and Eze, 2 players who've done well for you in previous games, you were not to know that they were going to stink up the first half. Nobody was. So in that respect, you didn't leave them on the pitch. You took them off at halftime. So that's what you're supposed to do. And then your subs are always making an impact. Arteta's done this week, and he probably doesn't deserve a 6, but they lost. So I'm not going to give him any more than a 6. But time and time again, his substitutions have always made an impact. And so I think in that regards, I'm going to give him a 6. Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6. So it's one of those things. Andrew said, there are undoubtedly members who are reluctant to comment or post for fear of what they will encounter with responses. Yes, received about the right, then detailing your. But yeah, you've hit the nail. I think that's why we're not seeing a lot of female participants, and I think it's because of fear of getting shot down. I think you're 100%. 18 saying Apollo's jersey. Yeah, you like my jersey? Special edition jerseys. I got about 20 of them in, all gone. In fact, I've got 2 left. They don't last very long, these special edition jerseys. If you're on the forum, guys, go and have a look at Ebony's one. I posted that out. She got that last week. And yeah, they go really fast. I think, yeah, here they are. I think this is the last one I've got. I've got 1 more. Lovely jerseys. Look at that. If you haven't seen them, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely lovely. I love those shirts. It's kind of like a graffiti. Andrew says, individuals who will never forgive Arsenal for letting go Aubameyang and Martinez. And you know what? Leave them be, man. Because like everybody's just moved on in that way. And not just that, Andrew. There are some fans who have been butthurt that we didn't win the league before in the last few years. You know, there's a good amount of those fans. There's like 3, 4, 5 of those fans that are just butthurt. They're butthurt fans. No, don't apologize if you've got there's been a few comments from a couple of people. But listen, that's what we're here for. That's what Nightcap's here for, Andrew. It's for us to talk and discuss the game, talk about our views. But that's my player ratings. And that's what I thought of the game. And that was my overall thoughts of the game as a whole. Look, guys, as I said, we're not going to win every game. We're not going to, steamroll and go 30 games unbeaten. We're just not. We're going to draw some games. We're going to lose some games. And as I said, the last 4 or 5 years, the winners of this league have lost an average of about 4 or 5 games. And we've lost 2. So there's going to be losses. There's going to be more losses. But let's not cry about them. Let's get behind the team and let's try and put a run together. Man City's got to play Chelsea twice, guys. Man City's got to play Chelsea twice. Yeah? I think Villa have done really, really well, but that's not sustainable. Villa don't have the squad. At some point, they're going to tire down. But remember how slow they started. They scored 1 goal, I think it was, in the first 4 or 5 games. They were really bad. They were second from bottom. And they've put an incredible run together. So that's where we are. All right, guys. Andrew, before I sign off, Andrew says, I think Wenger allowed Mourinho to get into his head. I hope Arteta does not allow Emery. Yeah, you know what? That's saying that Villa are title contenders. I don't think they are. And look, if they are, then I'll take my hat off. But right now, and I did a nightcap on this about a month ago. I said, who's going to be Arsenal's main challenge? And I said it's Haaland. It's even Man City. It's just Haaland. The title contenders for this year is Arsenal Football Club and Erling Haaland. Because Erling Haaland is scoring 80% of Man City's goals. They can't win. They can't put a challenge without him. If he gets injured, they're screwed. Yeah, but we got goals coming from everywhere. And my biggest issue is our set piece thing is gone because of Gabriel. We don't look potent. I know Timber scored that goal against Bayern Munich, but we don't look a threat in set pieces anymore without Gabriel. So, that's something that we've lost as well. So there's like all these defining factors that are coming in against us at the moment. So Andrew says, in terms of results against Villa with Emery as manager dictating the fortunes for Arsenal, and look, we just need to go on a run now. I don't know what the expectations are for the Champions League game. I know they're going to want to win that because they're top, right? You don't want to lose that. When you're top, you've got to maintain. So I still expect a strong team, but it would be nice to see. It would be nice to see when Yeri start. It would be nice to see Norgard start. I think those are the two, and then Madueke. So I would start Madueke or maybe Martinelli, because I would want Madueke for the weekend if Trossard can't start. So, but Madueke hasn't started in a while. It's been Martinelli and Trossard that's pretty much been starting there. So ever since Madueke came back from injury, he actually hasn't started a game. So maybe he plays in the Champions League game. All right, guys, that's it from me. Thanks for joining me for Nightcap. Lovely, lovely conversation with you guys. Peace out to all of you guys, and we'll catch up on the weekend. Peace out, guys. Nice one.